Jon Gosselin's son, Colin, has finally revealed a shocking secret about his mother, Kate. "My mother became physically aggressive," he said. "You know, my mom always told me nobody would believe me. I was fully isolated from everybody." After years of silence and forced separation, Colin's brave revelation sheds light on the emotional and physical toll he endured, including his institutionalization at Kate's hands. As Jon fights to reclaim his son and expose the truth, the Gosselin family's carefully constructed image begins to crumble, leaving the public to question Kate's actions and the hidden realities of their fractured family. "I don't hate him, never have, never will." The Gosselin family's public facade. For years, America watched Jon and Kate plus 8, captivated by the seemingly perfect yet chaotic life of the Gosselin family. With 8 children, twins and sextuplets, Jon and Kate Gosselin became household names. Their reality show offered a glimpse into the struggles and triumphs of raising such a large brood. Kate was the star, a mother praised for her no-nonsense approach to parenting. She was strict but devoted, firm but loving, or so it seemed. The public saw a woman juggling motherhood and fame, enforcing rules with an iron while claiming to do it all for her children's well-being. But inside the Gosselin household, behind the carefully edited episodes, life was much different, especially for one child. Colin Gosselin was not like his siblings. He wasn't the quiet, obedient type. He was curious, independent, and in Kate's eyes, defiant. He asked questions when others stayed silent. He pushed back against rules that didn't make sense to him. And for that, he paid a heavy price. Kate's discipline toward Colin wasn't the same as it was with the others. Where his siblings got timeouts, he got harsh reprimands. Where they were scolded, he was punished more severely. Slowly, he began to notice a pattern. He wasn't treated like part of the family. He was treated like a problem that needed to be fixed. As he got older, that treatment only escalated. On camera, Kate was the overworked but devoted mother. Off camera, Colin became the scapegoat, the child she could not or would not control. And when Kate decided she had had enough, she found a way to erase him entirely. The dark truth behind the cameras. Reality television is built on illusion. What the audience sees is carefully crafted, edited to create a narrative that keeps viewers engaged. And no one understood the power of controlling a narrative better than Kate Gosselin. To the world, she was the overwhelmed but capable mother of 8, doing her best to maintain order in an otherwise chaotic household. She had rules, structure, and discipline. While she came across as strict, it was all in the name of love, or at least, that's what people believed. However, when Colin came out to tell the world a serious secret about his mother, everyone was in shock. Inside the Gosselin home, behind the scenes of a reality show that made them famous, the truth was far less flattering. Kate's rules weren't just about keeping order, they were about control. And no child tested that control more than Colin. From the time he was little, Colin struggled under Kate's authoritarian parenting. He wasn't defiant in a way that warranted concern. He was simply curious, questioning things that didn't make sense to him, reacting when he felt something was unfair. Unlike his siblings, who seemed to instinctively fall in line, Colin pushed back. And in Kate's world, that wasn't allowed. At first, the differences in treatment were subtle. Kate's patience with him was thinner, her tone sharper. When the children were punished, Colin's punishments were harsher. When something went wrong, he was often the one to blame. But as the years passed, those subtle differences turned into something much more isolating. Colin wasn't just disciplined, he was alienated. His siblings began treating him differently, mirroring Kate's frustrations. Whether they believed he truly was the problem or simply feared stepping out of line themselves, they followed her lead. Colin was the odd one out, the difficult child, the one who didn't quite fit the mold Kate had created. Then, without warning, he started disappearing from the show. His appearances became less frequent. Family outings featured 7 children instead of 8. Photos were taken without him. It wasn't a dramatic exit. There was no on-screen moment, no public acknowledgement that something was wrong. And then one day he was gone completely. Kate offers simple explanation. Colin had special needs, she told the media, and required care that she could no longer provide at home. To most people, it sounded reasonable. This was a mother doing what was best for her child, making a heartbreaking but necessary decision for his well-being. But Colin, locked away in a facility he never should have been in, knew the truth. He shared this in an interview, citing her as being pure evil. "In that room that my mother had built, oftentimes she had zip-tied my hands and feet together and kept me locked in there, for most or all of the day, for multiple days." Naturally, people were appalled to hear this, confused as to how the devoted mother they saw on TV had been so horrible. But when they found out that Colin hadn't been sent away because he needed help, but because Kate wanted him gone, they started to see the whole situation differently. For 2 years, he suffered in silence, cut off from his family, waiting for someone to notice, waiting for someone to save him. The world moved on, accepting Kate's version of events without question, until one day, Colin found a way to reach out. And when he finally spoke, his story shattered everything people thought they knew about the Gosselin family. Allowing Colin to adjust to being back in the world he had been shut out from for so long. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. Years of isolation and emotional trauma couldn't be undone overnight, and both Jon and Colin knew that rebuilding trust, stability, and a sense of normalcy would take time. But for the first time in years, Colin had a voice, and more importantly, he had an advocate. Jon dedicated himself fully to his son's healing. He kept the media at arm's length, choosing instead to focus on providing Colin with the privacy and support he needed to recover. Therapy sessions, time outdoors, quiet moments at home, these became the foundation of Colin's new beginning. Slowly, the guarded teenager began to open up. The fear that had once clouded his eyes started to fade. He laughed again. He talked about his dreams. He began to reclaim his identity, not as the difficult child or the scapegoat, but simply as Colin. The transition was not without challenges. There were moments of anger, confusion, and sadness, lingering effects of the years spent under scrutiny and control. But Jon remained patient. He didn't try to erase the past. Instead, he helped Colin confront it, to understand that none of what happened was his fault. Together, they navigated the complexities of rebuilding a father-son relationship that had been forcibly severed. And as they did, the bond between them only grew stronger. Meanwhile, the public continued to reckon with the unraveling of the Gosselin family story. What had once been seen as a tale of perseverance and parenting had now taken on a much darker tone. Interviews, court records, and Colin's own testimony painted a picture that many found difficult to reconcile with the image they had seen on television. Kate's silence became deafening, and her refusal to acknowledge Colin's pain further tarnished the legacy she had spent so long curating. But for Jon and Colin, the noise of the outside world mattered less and less. They had what they needed, each other. And with that came a newfound sense of peace. Colin's return to the public eye, this time on his own terms, became a symbol of resilience. He began sharing his experiences not to accuse, but to bring awareness to the unseen struggles that children like him can face, especially behind the polished facades of fame and perfection. His bravery inspired many who had endured similar experiences, and his story served as a sobering reminder that the truth can remain hidden for years, even in plain sight. Jon continued to advocate for his children, never giving up on reconnecting with the others. He knew the road to full reconciliation might be long and uncertain, but if Colin's story had taught him anything, it was that healing was possible, and no voice should ever be silenced. The Gosselin family saga had captivated the world for over a decade, but in the end, it was not the glossy episodes or media appearances that told their real story. It was the quiet, courageous truth of a boy who spoke out and a father who listened.